Pulse Network. It's social TV.
Everyone, welcome into CIO Insight here on the PulseNetwork.com. I am Tyler Packard. CIO Insight is basically how to get you to become a CIO, or if you want to become a better CIO. So as always, we're joined by Eric Lundquist of Ziff Davis Enterprises. Eric, how are you?
I am doing great today, Tyler. How are you? I think it's you and me starting off the news of the week this week, right?
I was going to say, this you and I are pretty much just jumping right on into it, just to kind of kick things off.
Well, we can do it. A lot of news out there because it's sort of the end of the summer season. You come up into the fall season in high tech. Lots of new products get introduced, lots of events taking place, and sort of everyone just clicks back in, just like school starting up again.
Yeah,
so this is CIO school we're starting up today.
Yeah, ring the bell. School's in, sucker. So that's what we're about to do right now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go do the news of the week, because that's how we start off every single show. We get the news of the week, CIO Insight, and E-Week. So let's go ahead and, Eric, you had mentioned it right there. We have got a few different conferences this season. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the different ones out there. First, we'll start off at VMworld 2011. What is it to know about this one in Las Vegas? Own it, your cloud? That's what it's all about?
Well, so what's really interesting is that all these vendors have sort of started up their own shows. They go and they call, this is for VMware, they have VMworld and there's Oracle World. We'll talk about them all, but this is where they tend to do their big product introductions. They own the stage, they own the venue, and it's really a very, it's interesting because they're really mostly talking to their own customers. They're really not bringing in a lot of other people. But for VMworld, this is all about virtualization, which is, we always talk about cloud computing here at some point, Tyler, right? But they introduced a new version, which has a lot of features, a lot of management around it. They are by far the dominant company, and now they're talking about trying to increase their dominance and start to talk about, what are the business applications that people are going to start to write. I think that's really their, Paul Moritz, who runs VMware, that's really what he tried to emphasize here at VMworld, which was in Las Vegas, where we're not right now.
We are not in Las Vegas, and we are not in Kansas. However, your son is right now. So we've got another one that we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about what's going on in San Francisco. This one coming up August 30th and September 2nd. Guess what? It's going on right now. We're talking about Dreamforce right now at the Moscone Center in San Francisco. I was just there, I feel like, just about 3 weeks ago, I feel like. But Dreamforce, another cloud computing event. It's the big one of the year.
Well, it is, and so this is from Salesforce.com. So you really had two competing sort of virtualization cloud companies having their events at the same time. One in Las Vegas, that's the VMware, VMworld, and this other one, Salesforce, featuring Metallica. I think it's a Wednesday or Thursday night there out in San Francisco at the Moscone Center. So this is Mark Benioff's Salesforce.com. Again, his real emphasis has been on social networking, which we always see taking place out in the consumer side, starting to come in more and more to the business side. And just as VMworld was emphasizing new business applications, Benioff has been talking about new social networking applications in the business world. A lot of it's talk right now. You really don't see those business applications take place. And people have implemented the social networks, but it's not like as active as like Facebook or something. But this is where they're trying to get to. But this is setting the stage for the rest of the year right now.
Of course, the next one basically just about a month away from Oracle Open World. It's going to be October 2nd through the 6th. And guess what? Again, at the Moscone Center in San Francisco.
Well, they all like attaching world to a lot of these shows,
definitely.
I've noticed. And so this is Larry Ellison and Mark Hurd, and sort of the, I don't know, is it the bad boys of high tech? It's certainly some of the loudest guys. Mark Hurd used to run Hewlett Packard. Now he's over working with Larry Ellison. Hewlett Packard's been in sort of a tailspin lately. You really expect to see Larry Ellison and Mark Hurd get up there on the stage, do a few jabs, at Hewlett Packard. It's still, even though the fact that these guys are the sort of multi-billionaires of the high-tech world, they still like to sort of poke fun at each other. There's a lot of sports analogies you could make in this stuff, Tyler. I know you run a couple sports shows, and it's not all straight-laced. Here are the products. It's hey, what are these guys doing? So you look for someone like Larry Ellison to get up there and do a couple jabs.
And have some fun with it. I think
Oh,
everybody
absolutely.
goes to these for kind of a little fun and definitely laugh a little bit as well. So we got to move on, and you know, this one's going to be in New York City, October 5th through 7th. I'm talking about the Interop Business Technology Conference at the Javits Center. Is that
Down at the Javits Center. Interop's been around forever. Really sort of came back last spring. I went to the Interop show in Las Vegas. And so this is not a vendor show. This is a sort of many vendors coming in. And I really think it's a good opportunity because everyone's trying to figure out what are the new business applications. A lot of startup companies around this area in New York, and I expect to see them at the Javits Center. So again, if you get tired of hearing the vendors sort of talk about themselves, which doesn't take too long, sometimes like a minute or two, you've heard enough about them, this is a chance to sort of have this vendor-neutral platform and a place where you really start to get some of the bigger trends and business developments going on in tech. So it's worth going down to New York. And New York's always fun, right?
Oh, it's definitely a good time in New York City. But you know, we got some more news, and you talk about going to some of these events, and well, the events usually mean big announcements, and there was a big announcement basically coming at both VMworld and Dreamforce. Dell making a major announcement at both those shows, and in the announcement, the company revealed that it will launch its first public cloud offering later this year as part of its partnership with VMware. Now, Dell is going to be hosting VMware's new vCloud public cloud systems in Dell data centers, one of which is already in Plano, Texas, and the other under construction in the Pacific Northwest. More data centers are being planned. Now, Dell is also kind of winding down its reseller relationship with EMC, continuing its entry-level PowerVault product line, and really developing the new storage IP with generation acquisitions, EqualLogic and Compellent. Now, it also averages a new software company acquisition about once per quarter. So let's just say this, Eric. Dell, pretty busy right now.
Pretty busy right now. Everyone's anxious to get into the cloud, which we talk about a lot.
Yep.
But you know, Dell wants to be not just seen as the guy that provides the boxes that allow the cloud, but they also want to start providing the services. That's where the money is. It's not just in building the boxes. They do want to have that. That's why they're building these big data centers. But they also want to acquire and provide the services out there. Dell is on a roll right now. Hewlett Packard's been a little bit on the ropes, and so now you have Dell jumping in and really seeing an opportunity to go after some of the Hewlett Packard customers, get this alliance between EMC and, at least on the higher end, VMware, while also becoming one of these storage vendors. So it's a time of a big transition, as we always have our sports analogies. It's like there was a lot of trading, and you don't know exactly how the teams are going to look.
It's preseason still. You're trying to figure out who you got.
And the coaches are out there, and the general managers they're acquiring players, and they're plugging them in, and you really never know. We could talk about this analogy forever till they get on the field.
We can
start
keep
throwing that
sports
ball and see what happens.
We definitely could. Okay, so Eric, I'm happy you mentioned HP because HP also making a huge announcement at VMworld, and pretty interesting. Just yesterday, saying that they've got a turnkey cloud computing system, a cloud building package for mid-range enterprises and branch offices of large enterprises. Now, HP Virtual Systems Suite of applications for VMware, which is to be used optimally, must run on the company's new converged blade servers and storage arrays. It is designed to enable deployment of a virtualized cloud system within just a couple hours. Now, HP approaches the idea of cloud migration for mid-market enterprises based on 3 different products that comprise the HP Virtual Systems Suite: HP Converged Storage, Blade System Servers, and Insight Software. Right now available for, well, a mere $167,000. This, of course, includes all the infrastructure, hardware, and software, factory integration, and 3 years of HP support plus 24-hour service.
Give me your credit card. We'll run it through right now, and you'll go home with yourself having a nice HP cloud
Here's
service.
another sports analogy. What does a basketball do? It bounces. That's what's going to happen when I run my card go through it. Oh, well.
Well, this, HP obviously getting out of, some aspects of the hardware business, the PC business, the tablet business, smartphone business. They need to really come out with a very strong customer benefits. And just as Dell is talking about getting into the cloud, HP has been building this cloud infrastructure, and they need to really sell it to the customer base.
All right, HP is doing that for the business, but they're also getting into the consumer side as well, and that's one of the things I really want to talk about now is because, well, HP made another...
Well, it's sort of getting in, getting out.
Yeah, exactly. Toes in the water, don't like the way that feels, let's go take a run.
These are the zombie touchpads.
Oh, gross.
They're out of that business.
It canceled its touchpad for a limited time in response to a massive demand for the tablet in its dying days.
Well, they had a lot of, when a company bails out of a product, there's a lot of process going on. They had a $99 sale for touchpads, which is a great deal. And they had like, I don't know, the one rumor is they had like 100,000 in process. So now they're going to, tell their component suppliers, look, let's finish building these things and go out and sell them. But it is a going out of business sale for touchpads. So if you're enough of a nerd to be able to fool around a little bit with touchpads, $99 versus $500 or $600, pretty good deal.
Yeah, not a bad deal, that's for sure. But you talk about getting into the tablet game, well, CNN, they're also one of the ones. This will be the last story we get to right here, Erica. CNN basically trying to keep up with the Joneses. Latest push to stay on top of the changing news and social media climate. CNN firmed up details to buy a company focused on iPad magazine technology. Kind of interesting, if you ask me.
That's a Zeit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty much one guy. They say they bought a company, but it was sort of one guy.
They bought a dude, and he's going to build this for
who's making a lot of money off of it. CNN has a lot of multimedia content, obviously, and they're always trying to think of the best way to present it. But this one's interesting because they actually it's sort of create your own magazine, and it's going to be CNN branded. I'm really curious to see how this one plays out, Tyler, over the next month or two.
It will be interesting to see, and it will be interesting to see what we've got left here on CIO Insight. We're just getting started, Eric. That was the news of the week. We got
more sports analogies.
Exactly.
We can go forever.
We'll go forever. We've got a lot more CIO Insight. You're watching the Pulse Network. We are What's Next Now.
The Pulse Network. It's social TV.